is a teenage girl. Welcome back to the Queens of the Dam podcast. This week we're talking about Jennifer's Body and Ginger Snaps, two very similar movies, and we're super excited about this one. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
They're two really fun movies.
Yeah. They are.
So, should we, I don't know, should we give a little bit of information about both of those movies? I don't know how much we want to...
I mean, they have pretty much this, like you said, very similar plot line, which I was not expecting because I watched it for the first time today. Or Ginger Snaps, sorry. I watched Ginger Snaps for the first time today. That was it's a little scary how similar they are. Mm-hmm. Yep. I was trying to look up whether or not Jennifer's Body was based on Ginger Snaps or not, and I couldn't find anything.
Really? That's so bizarre because the plots are so blatantly the same. The humor in it is kind of similar too.
Yeah. I can't tell if, because when I was watching it, I was thinking, are these just based on, teenage girl friendships in high school? Because, is that where they have to come from? Or, I don't know.
Well, I always took that Jennifer's Body was more about intense teenage girl friendships and how they're kind of unlike anything else. Mm-hmm. But to me, Ginger Snaps was more about the intense bond between siblings.
Yeah, there was that difference.
Friends.
I kind of think they're similar in that way, though, because didn't Needy and Jennifer grow up basically together? As children, they were, best friends, always together and everything. Oh, yeah. So they kind of had, not that, sibling bond, but, they've always been in each other's lives, too. And I felt like the bond between the two pairs was very similar, even though two were siblings and two were just friends.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, what I noticed is both of them could be taken this way, but Ginger Snaps is very much about, it's a body horror movie, so it's very much about, our ambivalence about the female body and female sexuality, and, what is and isn't allowed. The werewolf curse is accompanied by the onset of her first period. And of course, it's just this very thinly veiled metaphor, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Not veiled at all.
Not even. As she's standing there, bleeding down her leg, she's, getting bitten by the werewolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
When that happens in movies, that's always hilarious to me, because, I never bled down my leg when I first got my period. You don't start bleeding that much, at that second.
No,
I just always find that to be hilarious when that happens.
I loved the scene where Ginger is she's in the bathroom and she looks down and she's got all this blood on the floor, and they're I think she says something oh my God, am I dying? And so they went to the nurse, and the nurse is the worst person I've ever talked about a period. She's worse than guys almost. She says that it turns into black sludge. Quote. That's literally a quote. She says black sludge at the end of your period.
Well,
oh my God, but to describe it that way, really?
I don't know. She was really forward about it, which, I don't know. I don't think that's bad, but I just think about, I was reading these articles that were saying how, we think of that as an abhorrent kind of process, where it's a natural process that isn't natural and is therefore gross.
Yeah.
So then I guess that's playing into that, but...
I guess that's my only big issue with Ginger Snaps, which we should probably recap the plots here, because people have no idea what we're talking about. But my biggest issue with Ginger Snaps is that it's so, hit you over the head with periods are gross. Teenage girls are, going through puberty is gross. And it's not subtle at all. I cannot imagine, I have never met a nurse who would describe someone's period like that to them.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. Well, and at first,
killing the metaphor.
Yeah. I didn't have a problem with it as much until she said black sludge. And then it was kind of okay, who says that? Who says that to a teenage girl? Typically, when girls get their period, they're scared enough because we don't talk about it. So, like, yeah, it totally wrong way to handle it, I felt like.
Okay, so we seem to want to be talking about ginger snaps first. So maybe let's recap the plot.
Well, ginger snaps came out first, so
yeah,
I think
that's appropriate to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So let's recap the plot of Ginger Snaps a little bit so people can follow. If they have not seen these movies, they can follow along a little bit with the stuff that we're breaking down here. So Ginger Snaps when was Ginger Snaps made, Rachel? I'm sure you know.
Hang on, I have it pulled up on Wikipedia.
It's 2000. Yeah.
2000, okay. It always struck me as like a late 90s movie.
It's very, yeah, I mean, I felt like it was very 2000s, though.
Oh,
I don't know.
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Often enough, co-written and directed by a man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I looked that up.
To be weird.
Was it John Fawcett?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John Fawcett wrote and directed, and Karen Walton also co-wrote it.
Okay. So it's a teenage movie, sort of. It's about teenagers. I would say it's rated. It would be rated R, but it's not rated. And it takes place in this very suburban town in Canada, I think.
Oh, oh my gosh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and it's a Canadian movie.
Yeah, these two siblings, Ginger and
Bridget.
I just watched this movie today again.
Yep.
Bridget and Ginger, they kind of are off the beaten path. They have kind of an obsession, they have an obsession with death. They're plotting their suicides. They're absolutely averted to that suburban life. Everything about what they call normalcy is just abhorrent to them. And they have this suicide pact, and then Ginger, who is the more, I don't know, they make a big deal of Ginger being the prettier, the more developed girl, and then Bridget being this kind of dweeby little mousy girl who kind of follows behind Ginger. Ginger gets her period, and Bridget has such an aversion to this because she thinks Ginger's going to just go off and start sleeping with boys and doing, that means that she's grown up and she's going to go be normal, like their mother or like anyone else in their town, and she's really kind of like controlling over Ginger about that. But the same night that Ginger gets her period, there's been this werewolf, well, they know it's some beast, they call it the Beast of Bailey Downs. It's been eating all the not eating, it's been mauling all the neighborhood dogs, and when they're out in the park, it bites Ginger, and she starts turning into a werewolf, and the whole movie is just about all the things she continues to start to do, like her burgeoning sexuality. I think I've said this like 4 times on this podcast. Why does this always come up? Like, it's about her sexuality and Bridget's, like, anger about Ginger moving forward with that, and just kind of like, I think it's kind of like women don't get to make their identities. You either do something too much one way or you do something too much another way, and you're never right where people want you to be. And then, should we talk about the end? I think the end's I think it's important. So she's trying to find this cure, Bridget, for what do you call it?
Lycanthropy.
For the lycanthropy, and it of course, and it involves like some sort of wolf's bane, and she's trying to inject her with it, and Ginger doesn't want anything to do with it, and she keeps saying, I can't remember exactly what she's saying, but every time she says something about the cure, she's like, basically, you don't understand me, and you're trying to stop me from being who I am.
Yeah, and she also said, you think I want to stop, something about, like, you think I want to go back to not being cool anymore.
Right, so, and she's starting to do all these things. She's starting to sleep with the boys, so she's starting to grow a tail at the same time, and she finally, at the end, when she's it's this kind of progressive change into a werewolf. It's not like one night monthly. It is, they suggest that she probably is never going to be human again. She just keeps going towards being a werewolf. And when she's finally almost all the way a werewolf, Bridget has to kill her, even though she's tried to save her. Because Ginger says they're almost no longer related anymore. And that's kind of, I think, what clicked in Bridget's head was that, okay, I'm no longer part of you. I don't have to do everything with you. And she says, I am not going to die with you. Mm-hmm. And so she kills her sister. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more that happens, but those are the basics in the plot. And it's got this really cynical, kind of bitter, but like black humor thing going on all the way through, which makes it really good. Because it's not something you're gonna... for me, it wasn't something I was expecting when I was gonna watch this movie. I thought it was gonna be cheesy, but it was super aware of itself. Yeah. And like very... I don't know. That made it really funny. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Ginger Snaps. What something from my description anyone wants to correct about the way I saw something, or like is there something different you want to say about it, or what?
No, granted, I could not find it to rewatch it before we did this, so it's been a few years, but doesn't Bridget infect herself?
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. She's trying to get Ginger back to the house so that she can inject Ginger with the, whatever the heck the flower was called. I didn't even understand it, but to inject her with whatever cure it was, and she cuts her hand open. What was that?
Well, the flower's wolfsbane.
But yeah, she cuts her hand open, she cuts Ginger's hand open, and then she basically just, like, grabs her hand, which is, it parallels back to the beginning of the movie when they're holding hands, and I don't remember what they said. They said some chant thing, I don't know, that that they have.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
With each other.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, then she tries to get Ginger outside, and what's his name? Sam hits Ginger over the head with a shovel. Useless.
It is useless, but like also I would probably also hit her over the head with the shovel.
Yeah, because what do you do? Like,
Isn't she like trying to seduce him, and he's like, no, until she like breaks his arm or something?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
I remember most of the movie.
There's that instance, and then there's also she's in the car with that first guy that hit on her, and he doesn't want to sleep with her either, and she basically rapes him too, and she ends up turning him, and that was an interesting concept I did not expect to see, because it's different from Jennifer's body in that way, because it's weird because she thinks of herself as so sexual and everybody wants to be with her, but the two guys that she tries to sleep with don't want to sleep with her in that moment. And so I just thought that was, it's very different from Jennifer's body. It's the complete opposite.
Yeah. Well, and that goes with the theme of, like, now that she's had her period, like, oh God, she's gross, it's gross. They spend the first half of the movie going after her and yelling obscene things at her, trying to get her to sleep with them, and then when she, comes on full force, they're like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
Right.
But there was one guy, it was interesting that, I don't remember which guy it was, he wanted to sleep with her, but he wanted to do it on his terms, where he was like, he wanted to be on top, and I was just thinking that. He said, just like, lie back. She said lie back, and he was like, who's the guy here? Yeah. And then she breaks his arm, and says, who's the fucking guy here?
Yeah.
And, and that's the thing, well, obviously, like, in real terms, that's not cool, but the thing is, like, that's her expressing unnatural masculinity. Like, that's her being aggressive, and she's not supposed to be aggressive. She's supposed to be the person who lies back,
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting when I saw that. This is totally different from all the symbolism stuff or whatever. Not even, like, veiled at all, but I really like the practical effects that they used in this movie. I thought it was really cool. It was so fun to watch all that stuff.
I'm sorry, I hated that werewolf. I really
loved it.
I thought I was like, no. Like,
I didn't mind it because it was so, like, clearly this movie had no budget. 2000 special effects, but I thought it was fun. It's not what I would consider a serious movie. I would consider it kind of a little bit of a campy movie. Just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It's a horror comedy. And so to me, the campy werewolf didn't really bother me, because I'm like, this movie is funny anyway.
Well, apparently he struggled with, I was just reading an article that said he struggled with the budget because he was fighting with whatever production company, and they were saying, well, why do you have to make her ugly? Why can't you just make her breasts bigger instead of giving her a tail? And, they said that.
Oh my God.
They wouldn't give him the budget. They kept saying, like, you're not going to get this money unless you do what we say you're going to do? And he was like, well, fuck your money.
Well, is that why the werewolf has boobs? Did you not notice that?
It has. I forgot it had boobs.
It had boobs.
And that was probably his like middle finger to them. Like,
God.
oh, here's your boobs.
I saw that and I was like, I couldn't even laugh at it. I was like, what the fuck is that? That's not okay. It looked so weird, so out of place. Oh,
I think it's really fun when filmmakers get to do things on their own terms. Like, even if they don't turn out to be the best, they just, like, it's really fun when they get to run with it.
But other than that werewolf, I mean, I agree with the practical effects. I did enjoy it. The look of that werewolf just, I don't know. It looked so fake to me.
It was, like, so boxy, you know? Like, it was a really boxy werewolf.
Well, I mean, it was super fake. But
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
I loved it. I did like the way, even though the werewolf was super campy, I liked the way they did the first scene where Ginger gets bitten, where the thing is so fast, you can just hear it run by, and then you look over your shoulder, and you just see the swing, like, 20 feet away from you moving a little bit, and it's already gone into the forest. Like, that is fucking creepy, actually. That scene was cool.
Yeah. Although, I have to say, when that truck hit the werewolf, that werewolf exploded. Okay? I was not expecting that.
They spent their budget on that one effect.
Yeah,
guys,
they did.
This is it.
They must have just said, like, okay, take all the fake blood, all the fake organs, and just fucking throw them. Just take all of them and just throw them in here.
They probably just had people with buckets. Like,
yeah.
Probably.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
That was hilarious. That killed me, especially because they were talking about the silver, talking about like a silver bullet and everything, and he said, well, if a truck can kill a werewolf, I don't think you need silver. And all I could think is, obviously you don't need silver if a truck can make a werewolf explode like that. You don't need anything to kill a werewolf then.
I loved the gratuitous, like, gore. What drew me into this movie, I thought it was just going to be okay, but what drew me into it was the beginning scene where they're showing their class project.
Yeah.
And it's just all of these ways they could have died. Mm-hmm. And, like, getting hit with the lawnmower, and then, like, Bridget has the lawn pitchfork stuck through her neck and everything, and then, once the projector goes off, the class is like, yeah, you know, the guy says something smart, like, can we see the ones of Ginger again?
Yeah.
And the teacher, his reaction is so, like, it starts one way, and then it just escalates. It's like, well, I could see that you girls did that was very, very disturbing. I am offended.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I want to see you in the guidance office after school. And I loved that reaction.
He was just so thrown off, he couldn't believe it. And I loved it because it was so... How would you expect a professor or a teacher to act in that situation? I feel like most of them, if they didn't respond that way, that's exactly how they would go through their minds. Like, okay, I gotta take this calmly, but what the fuck did I just see?
Right.
Oh. And I feel like a college professor would definitely respond that way. If it was bad enough, yes, but a high school teacher, I don't think they can. Could he get fired for that? For him being like, oh my god, that's disturbing, you can't do that, and stuff like that?
I think he would be expected to say
I
that.
think they'd be more concerned if someone did a presentation like that and he didn't say anything. Because you know that some of those kids went home and told their parents.
Well, also,
we saw in school today.
You sign a form when you teach that says that you will report anything that seems wrong. If you think the child's being abused, if you think they're suicidal, if you think they're mentally, something's going on, you have to report that.
Well, I'm surprised. Something that surprised me about this is that everybody knows that they're into this thing where they pretend they're dead and they take pictures. I don't even know what you call that, but everybody knows they're into it. Nobody thinks that they could be at fault for killing the dogs. I feel like they would be the first ones to be blamed because they're so into that stuff. That really surprised me because I really expected that to be part of the plot, that they were being blamed for it.
Huh. I would agree. I never thought of that before, but yeah, no, I would definitely agree. probably be my first suspects.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, but then there's the funny, like, complacency that's happening. It's like a really Edward Scissorhands feel you get. Like, the whole town is like, their dogs are being mauled, and no one's taking their dogs inside. They're all like, well, there goes again. It got the neighbor's dog. Well, what's for dinner?
I mean, it starts off with a woman screaming about her dog, and... I mean, everybody knows, because everybody can hear what she's screaming, and there are kids playing hockey in the street, and they all kind of turn and look, and then they all start smiling and playing again. And I was like, oh my god. If I found out a dog in my neighborhood was mauled, I'd probably have nightmares.
Yeah, they all know it's happening, but nobody's wanting to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the reasons for that are. Maybe it's just that's the most interesting thing that's ever happened to them, and they're just like...
Well, and maybe everybody has that it won't happen to me mentality.
Yeah.
You know? I think they may have just played that up as much as they could.
Like with the mom had that... I was reading an article that said the mother is hamstrung by her own good intentions.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just, like, completely oblivious.
Yeah. They have a dead body in the house and she doesn't even know.
Yeah.
And then when she finds out, doesn't she say she'll, like, blow up the house so nobody will find it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something that I was going to mention. Again, that was something I was not expecting at all. She found freaking fingers in her yard, and so her answer is to blow up the house and take her daughters away.
I mean... yeah, I can understand that instinct. Like, you want to protect your kids. Like, I can understand that instinct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can understand the instinct, but can you actually understand somebody, like, planning on doing it?
I don't know. I probably would.
I'm sure there have been many cases where the mother has...
Well, there are cases all the time of children committing, I mean, not necessarily children, you know, they're adults, but committing crimes and their parents... you know, they're on the run and their parents are in communication with them. And did the parents turn them into police? No.
Of course not. I mean, just not even that, but think about the Ramseys. John Benet Ramsey. If you believe Burke did it, that's a classic cover-up by parents. Like,
oh yeah,
that's one version of that narrative. But if it is that, then that's a classic cover-up story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I actually found that to be one of the more realistic. Of course, blowing up the house was, like, extreme, but the idea that she would try and get rid of the body to save her children, I found to be realistic.
Yeah.
It didn't seem...
Blowing up the house is crazy, but...
It didn't seem to match her character, though. At least from what I got from her, it didn't really seem like it matched her character very much. Because she seemed somebody that's very rooted in society and societal standards. And so the last thing I expected was for her to say, you killed somebody, let's go. She seemed to me like more of one of those mom characters that would just, like, scream and freak out and, like, not know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that too. I do, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think maybe some of it with... I mean, it almost ties a little bit back to what Nikki was saying about this kind of Edward Scissorhands type town. That, like, she didn't want the neighbors to know that her daughters had killed this girl. So, you don't want your neighbors to find out, so just blow up the house. Then no one has to know.
Because that's the worst thing that could possibly happen. The neighbors can find out.
Just find out.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this movie it's weird, but I really love it.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a second one. I haven't seen it. I just watched the first one.
It's a trilogy.
Yeah. It's a trilogy.
I just found out today.
No, they don't exist.
They don't?
They're from an alternate reality that's terrible. Don't watch them.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I kind of figured that was the reason that I hadn't heard that it was a trilogy until today.
I mean, the second one I found not as horrible, but the third one is bad.
We have the second one at my house. That's the only reason I know. I was going through our movies and I found the first one and the second one. So maybe I won't watch it. I don't like wasting my time on bad movies.
Yeah,
really.
You might like it. I mean, don't take my word for it. But, like, I personally did not care for them. I don't know. They just weren't as fun as the original.
I was going to say, unless they're bad and fun, then, like, I don't see.
No, if they were bad and fun, I wouldn't be able to get enough. Movie.
Well, Jennifer's Body was kind of bad and fun, too, I suppose.
I didn't think it was bad. Wait a minute.
Well, I don't know.
Is that the consensus with this movie?
Bad at all. I liked Jennifer's Body more than Ginger Snaps.
I love that movie. I thought it was good.
I mean, I liked it, but I didn't think it was, like, a good movie.
Gosh.
I don't know.
I've seen that movie so many times.
The same way with Ginger Snaps. Like, I don't know.
I mean, they're definitely both campy movies.
Yeah.
But I think campy movies, when done well, can be great. And I think they were both done very well.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take themselves that seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's half the fun, is they know that this is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what makes it fun, to me.
Yeah. And I think they're also, like you said with Ginger Snaps, very aware of itself. They're very aware of the stereotypes they're playing up on. One of my favorite stereotypes they play up on in Jennifer's Body is the whole idea of a woman as a man-eater.
Yeah.
It couldn't get more literal, because she only eats boys.
Right.
And she's that, like, hot cheerleader, popular girl at the school, and that's what they always refer to those girls as man-eaters. So here you go. She's literally a man-eater.
And one thing that I really loved about Jennifer's Body with that point is casting Megan Fox, who, of course, you look at her and you think, oh my God, frankly, I mean, we all know what people say about her. Oh, she looks like a slut.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. And so they really play up on her image really well as kind of looking like this perfect, gorgeous creature almost. I mean, barely even human. I think she's so pretty. I mean, and so I just think that was really brilliant casting. And she has that, like, high baby voice when she talks.
Yeah.
That so feeds into the character, and that's just like her real voice.
Like a little kitten.
It does not match her face at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I did like it. I don't know. I think it's because I had seen Ginger Snaps first. I was just like, this is it's recycled Ginger Snaps, but it's got a little bit of different stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I
like the demon thing. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
We should maybe we should do like a plot summary of Ginger Snap or of Jennifer's Body before we really get going.
Okay, so it's basically the same thing.
Yeah,
much the same plot.
Well, this time it's two friends. So you have Needy, which is the perfect name for her.
No, that's what I was gonna say a second ago. But that's perfect.
Amanda Seyfried's character, and then you have Jennifer, Megan Fox's character, and they've been friends since they were kids. And I'm not really sure why. And no one in the movie seems to be sure why. They don't really seem to have anything in common with each other. Like, at all. And yet they're still best friends. So they go to a bar to see this band.
Low Shoulder.
Yes, Low Shoulder, which is the stupidest band name.
Have you seen, like, their logo? It's, like, the dumbest logo I've ever seen.
So are they a real band?
No, that's Adam Brody from the OC. He plays the lead character.
I think it was funny that they used that song. There was a song for a benefit for a missing person.
I think it's called
Through the Trees. Yeah. And people got so sick of hearing the song, and it was like this indie song, and it sounds exactly like some sort of indie hit you would hear on the radio. Yeah. It's great.
I mean, that attention to detail is really what gets me in this movie, because they sound and look just like some stupid indie band.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, there's this big fire at the bar, and everyone's running, and Jennifer kind of goes into shock. And the band is like, well, come with us. And Needy is begging her not to go, but she goes anyway. And
because she thinks the lead singer is, quote, salty.
Yes.
Unquote.
Yes.
I've seen this movie way too many times.
There's some good quotes in this movie.
What they do is they're going to use Jennifer as a virgin sacrifice. Only she's not a virgin, which I found to be hilarious. And so it backfires, and she ends up being possessed by a demon. Like she dies, and then her body is taken over by this demon. And so when she comes back to school, as Miranda said, she starts literally eating all of the teenage boys. Like, she invites them out, she seduces them, and then doesn't she, like, eat their hearts?
I think it's the hearts, but I think it's not just...
she just eats them.
She'll eat anything.
Okay. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. In the end, Needy and her boyfriend end up... No. Jennifer ends up trying to seduce Needy's boyfriend.
Yeah, because Needy broke up with him.
To protect him.
Yeah. So he's at prom alone.
Yeah, because he doesn't believe her that Jennifer is evil. Because, like, why would you?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. And she confronts Jennifer when Jennifer's trying to seduce the boyfriend. Needy tries to drown her, but Jennifer has unfortunately just fed, so she's, like, indestructible. And she starts, like, floating in the air. And the boyfriend stabs Jennifer, but ends up dying. So Needy goes to Jennifer's home and figures out that she can kill her by stabbing her in the heart with a box cutter. And so she does. And as soon as Jennifer dies, Jennifer's mom walks in. And Needy is sitting on top of her daughter with a bloody box cutter. So Needy gets committed to an insane asylum. But because Jennifer had bitten her during their final fight, she has gotten some of Jennifer's powers. So she's able to, like, float out of the mental hospital or something. And she
in her freaking bunny slippers. Just kills me.
And so she ends up finding the band and murdering them for what they did to her friend. And it's ridiculous. It's so over the top. The whole thing.
Yeah. The ending is just perfect. It's so satisfying. I found it so satisfying.
They totally deserve it.
Yeah.
And then they play Through the Trees. I'm not going to sing it, but it's in my head right now.
I'm going to be honest. I'm really sick of that song, though. I mean, out of all the times I've watched it, like, I understand why the people in the movie are, like, so sick and tired of it, because I can't stand it anymore.
Well, and oh my god, like, how many times has that happened? I mean, I don't know if you guys are quite old enough, but I'm old enough to remember when Princess Diana died, like, remembering it really well. And the new version of Candle in the Wind that Elton John recorded for Princess Diana, and that song was everywhere for like 6 months. And it was like, just shut up, man. We get it. Like, I'm sorry that she died, but, like, I don't want to hear this song ever again as long as I live. And that's what that song reminded me of.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, some people in the school who are super into it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just really funny.
Like, all the girls wearing the low-shoulder T-shirts and everything. It's like, God, this couldn't be more accurate of high school, honestly.
It is
really
really It's a very tongue-in-cheek. Well, I think both movies are very tongue-in-cheek, like, accurate.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, and one thing that I do like about both movies is that the way that it examines the relationship between teenage girls, but it doesn't belittle them. It doesn't say, oh, look at these idiots and how devoted they are to each other. It's like, no, these are real friendships, and of course these are extreme versions, but to teenage girls, their friendships are life or death. You know, if you don't have your friends, what else do you have?
Yeah,
when you're in high school.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When you're in high school, I mean, it's exactly it. I mean, what really do you have when you don't have your friends in high school?
Right.
But something I also loved about the friendships in both of these, just in Jennifer's Body, like the toxicity of some friendships with girls in high school. That's one of the reasons that I loved that Needy's nickname was Needy. I thought that couldn't be more perfect, not necessarily because she was needy, because I didn't really get that from her in the show, actually. She didn't really put off a vibe to me that she was needy, but she was seen as being needy because she was always with Jennifer. She was always doing what Jennifer wanted, like in Ginger Snaps. You know, it's the same thing, but that was how they saw her. They saw her as the needy one. That's exactly how it is in those friendships. Like, the one that's always going with the other. You know, they're always seen as the needy one, the desperate one, the one who can't be alone, sort of a thing.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, it's been a long time since I was a teenager, but, I mean, your relationships in high school, I mean, they're intense.
Yeah.
Your friendships in high school, I mean, they are super intense.
Oh, yeah.
And super dramatic all of the time. And I would even argue that Ginger Snaps is also a toxic relationship. I mean, they are too obsessed with each other and dying together, and I mean, that's not healthy.
No, not at all.
No, I mean, that's definitely not healthy.
Yeah.
I think that both movies do a really good job of that, and again, of not belittling teenage girls, because so many people love to make fun of teenage girls, and Isn't that the go-to insult when someone's being immature? Oh, you're acting like a 15-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I really love how just high school in general is portrayed in Jennifer's Body. I just really, really love that. Something that's kind of minor about Jennifer's Body, when the boys start dying and the fire happens and they have all of these tragedies, the way the school acts is something that's very interesting to me, because you see this a lot in high schools when tragedy strikes, and it's like this whole, it's not just like a rally around the flag. It's like instantly everybody knows everybody who was affected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like every time tragedy strikes, every single person is somehow personally impacted, or they believe that they are. And so it becomes like this big dramatic situation. And that's something that I also saw like in those girls that were like wearing the low shoulder t-shirts and everything. It's like everybody takes that stuff so far in a high school situation, and even outside of high school too. And that's something that I thought they did very well in this movie as well.
Yeah, and I think and the reason for that, I think too, is because this is a lot of high school students' first experience with death in any capacity.
Yeah.
And so them trying to get, process that is like a super emotional thing, and so they just go.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I both movies and they did such a good job of balancing the horror and the comedy, which I think is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of horror comedies that either aren't scary or aren't funny, but I found them both to be pretty effective on both fronts.
Yeah, definitely. There was a moment towards the end of the movie when Jennifer is flying. I can't remember what the exchange is, but it is absolutely hilarious. It's like the last thing that you would expect when your demon friend is like floating above you with blood on her face. And it's like, gosh, I can't even remember. But Jennifer ends up saying, God, do you have to undermine everything I do? Do you guys remember that? I can't remember what goes on in that situation, but it is like the funniest thing. And all I remember is Jennifer saying that. And it absolutely just killed me, especially because Jennifer's the one that gets all of the attention in the friendship. And she's sitting there saying to Needy, God, do you have to undermine everything I do? That's so high school. It just killed me.
My favorite line in the movie is probably when Needy is confronting Jennifer and she's like, you're killing people. And Jennifer says, no, I'm killing boys. It's just...
There's a difference.
I'm about to have a son, so like I probably shouldn't be saying that, but it's so true.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
It's so true, and when I was a teenager, that was definitely would have been my same attitude. Like, oh no, but because boys, teenage boys, they're like not even human beings, most of them. Because they're just not there yet.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't gotten on the same level as the teenage girls.
Well, I would say that all teenagers are pretty difficult, and I hate saying that because I 150% understand why they're so difficult, because they're going through so much shit, not only like this in society in general and in high school, but also like within their bodies. Like they're just going through so much shit at the time, and so that's why teenagers are so awful half the time. But I think it does a good job of showing how teenagers are, just all of them, and how society looks at them too.
Right. And Jennifer's Body and Ginger Snaps, they both play up on that kind of, I don't know how you would describe it, because I hate when people use Lolita as a term for, like, a sexy underage girl, because that's not what that book is about. But people do use that term as, kind of the, she's a kid. Mm-hmm. She's supposed to be, what, like 16?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
But people look at her as an adult because of the way she looks and the way that she dresses. And it's the same with Ginger and Ginger Snaps. People look at her as more of an adult because she's hot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something that I noticed, Ginger, like when she was changing, became very jealous of Bridget when Bridget was talking to guys.
Didn't she start targeting the people that she thought was...
I thought so. Yeah.
Attracted to Bridget?
Yeah, and she like said something about the janitor and like started cussing out the janitor and saying like, she's 15, and then like leaving her with Sam. She did the same thing, and I thought this was terrible. She even said to Bridget, like, don't come crying to me when he rapes you. like when she left her there and everything. I mean, that was just insane, all of that.
Yeah, I also think it's a good remark on, like, we've all, I think, had a friendship where the person seemed to turn into somebody or was somebody all along that we didn't know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I feel like there's just so much to say about Jennifer's body.
Well, and I loved the scene. I know that a lot of people didn't care for it, but, well, they felt like it was trying to be sensational, but I don't think it was. But the scene where Jennifer and Needy make out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I forgot about that.
That, to me, I mean, there are teenage girls, and I certainly had friends like that in high school, where you were so devoted to each other that it almost was romantic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, way more devoted to them than I ever was to any boyfriend that I had in high school. To me, that didn't seem unnatural. I mean, I know some people were like, oh, well, if they were just trying to be, like, sensational and that kind of thing, but I know that I read an interview with Diablo Cody where she said something like, if it had been a guy and a girl, nobody would have said anything.
Yep.
But because it was two girls, then it becomes, like, controversial. But I thought that was realistic, and, I mean, that is pretty common in high school. I mean, you're discovering things about yourself, and people try different things.
I think a lot of times people say that something is gratuitous when it makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. But it's sometimes, not that particularly, but sometimes things are supposed to make you uncomfortable. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That doesn't mean it was gratuitously done to get attention. It means the filmmaker is trying to make you uncomfortable because that's what he or she is trying to portray.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't handle that, you don't have to say they're just getting attention. So.
Doing it for the shock value or whatever. Yeah. Which I don't think two women making out is shocking, but I guess some people do.
No, it's like if you're going to watch a movie about a girl who gets possessed by a demon and starts eating other people and you're offended by two women making out, I think you really need to examine your moral compass.
Yeah.
It's a little off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I remember that being a big thing, because I saw this movie in the theater with my boyfriend at the time, who did not like it at all, and that probably should have been a hint.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
It was not meant to happen, but yeah, I remember that being, like, a big thing in not in the marketing, but, like, a lot of the reviews, I guess, would talk about it, and how it was just like, oh, this really, gratuitous scene of them making out, why was it there? Like, well, you're a man. You were never a teenage girl. I'm sorry. So sometimes I read, it's bad, but sometimes I read reviews by men and about movies that are about women, and I'm like, but I don't care what you think. You've never lived it.
You have no idea.
I know. I'm like, and that's so bad, but also I feel like, but I just don't care what you think.
Well, and it's like, and people don't, it goes back to that whole stigma that women can't be sexual, because people don't have a problem with it. Like, if they were college girls in this movie, I can bet you that people wouldn't be as pissed about it, because it's apparently okay for girls to experiment in college, and it's okay for guys don't have any problem with it at all. But because it's two high school girls, it's a big deal, because high school girls aren't allowed to be sexual. Women in general aren't allowed to be sexual.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
We're allowed to be sexual, but it has to come within the bounds of what is wanted and expected. It can't be our genuine sexuality. It has to be exactly what the other person is expecting, what the man is expecting of us.
Mm-hmm. But even then, it needs to probably only be done in private.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't walk around looking like you enjoy having sex, because then you're just a hoe.
No, and the control ultimately has to be the man's, because if we have our own autonomy, then that's too scary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There is a quote in Ginger Snaps. I tried to look it up. I couldn't find it. But Ginger says something along the lines of, a girl can only ever be a slut, a prude, a virgin, or what was it? I can't remember what the last word was, but basically, like, all of these nasty terms that people use about women, and they all have to do with sex, and there's no way to get out of them. You know, you're either a virgin, and that's seen as like a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if either of you have noticed that, but like,
oh yeah,
virginity is like the weirdest fucking thing for women.
It's like it's a false concept. So
it's like it's good and it's bad, and it's just the weirdest thing. But
and then on some occasions it's good, on some occasions it's bad. It depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, well, exactly. I remember a few years ago this was probably. Okay, whatever year it was that Miley Cyrus did her thing at the VMAs with Robin Thicke, that was maybe like 5 years ago?
Like 2013 or 2012, does that sound about right?
Holy shit. That feels like yesterday.
I'm gonna say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But Kevin Hart was hosting, and after Miley did her, we'll call it a performance, Kevin Hart came out, and he made some joke about, like, Miley, don't go near Taylor Swift. Taylor, stay away from her, because clearly Taylor Swift is, like, the innocent virgin. Well, I remember sitting there thinking, Taylor Swift is older than Miley Cyrus, which she is. And then, of course, immediately what starts coming out about Taylor Swift, that, she's too much of a prude. Mm-hmm. She's too much of a virgin. She won't even show her belly button when she wears a bikini. She wears, like, high-waisted bottoms on her bikini, so you can't see her belly button. So she's not good enough because she's too much of a virgin. But Miley's not good enough because she's too much of a slut. Mm-hmm. You can't win. It's it was good for Taylor to be virginal until she hit like 23. And then suddenly it was like, well, now it's just weird.
Yeah.
Like, why? It's none of your business.
And also, that's like our public perception of her. We have no idea who she is. Like, that's what she puts forth for the media. Like, or what the media takes out of it.
It also kills me that we look at Taylor Swift like this, because I swear every week she's dating someone new, and then it's a breakup right away. And that's not necessarily like her fault, but what the hell are we looking at her like she's so innocent and everything when
that's also criticized.
Yeah.
She's a virgin, so that sucks. Mm-hmm. But she eats too much, and she's also terrible for that. She can't win.
She can't do anything.
She cannot win.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
And this is way off track, but she gets to write breakup songs, but Ed Sheeran can write breakup songs and not take fallout for it, because he's a guy.
Right.
It's romantic when Ed Sheeran does it.
Girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, move on, man. But she writes one song, and everybody's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like...
Yeah. So that's a good real life example of the things that we do to women. You can't actually I don't know if I said this already. I don't think I did, but there's another quote from Ginger Snaps where Bridget says to Ginger, "There's something wrong with you. I mean, more than just being female." And that's kind of like the whole deal.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's why that movie's so funny, because it's like, it's within all these terrible problems that teenage girls and just women in general have, but it's also like, oh, and now you're also turning into a werewolf. Well,
right.
Yeah.
And I would say that both of these movies really owe a big debt to Carrie, which is sort of, to me, the prototype of teenage girl gets her first period, and everything starts to go wrong when she starts going through puberty.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And to me, that one, because I know I said I had an issue with, what the nurse said about Ginger getting her period, but in Carrie, to me it works, because the mom has a character reason for it. There's a backstory given that the mom is ultra religious, so of course she's going to freak out when Carrie gets her period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it didn't bother me. But I think both of these movies really owe a big debt to Carrie, which is sort of the first I can think of anyway, that's really about a teenage girl gaining powers, let's say, around the time that she gets her first period.
Mm-hmm. I found something like that earlier, so I think you're correct. I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh, also written by a man.
Also written by a man, and the movie directed by a man.
I was going to say, the new movie, the one with Chloe Grace Moretz in it, what? Okay, just say it.
I liked it.
Oh, you did? Oh my gosh.
That
look on your face, I was so scared. You're going to be like, oh my god, it was so bad. No, I loved it. I loved it so much. I went and I saw it in the theater, and I fucking cried at the end of it. It was so sad. But I just wanted to say, the gym teacher portrayed in that one, I thought she was phenomenal. I loved that character. She was so funny because you could tell the principal was so uncomfortable, which reminded me, just like Ginger Snaps with the dad, so uncomfortable with talking about periods. Can't stand it. He, like, the dad in Ginger Snaps even says, we're eating dinner. And it's like, it's such a taboo subject. And the gym teacher is just like, she doesn't give a shit. It's like, we have to tell her what's going on. We can't just, like, let her go home and have no idea what's going on with her.
I think I remember that scene where the principal is, like, visibly getting green.
Yeah.
And the gym teacher's like, you need to fucking pull it together. You know, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, I had issues with the new Carrie, but that was not one of them.
We need an episode on that, so we probably shouldn't talk too much about it right now.
All I'll say is that I did not buy Chloe Grace Moretz as the super unpopular. She looks like a model.
Okay, that was a criticism I had, but
whereas Sissy Spacek, she looked like a lump. Like, her hair and her skin were all the same color, and, like, she just looked like nothing.
I didn't like that one, though. I don't like any of the old Carrie movies. I've never liked them.
Guys.
I'm sorry, I know that's, like,
guys,
evil to say.
We need an episode about Carrie.
Yeah.
Because this is, like, a huge thing. Like, a huge...
Okay.
So, yeah.
But anyways, Carrie, it relates.
Carrie...
But Carrie is the first that I can think of that's kind of in the teenage girl gains powers around the time that she gets her period, and it's all a bunch of symbolism genre.
There was also something I saw that was saying with the werewolf myth is typically, or was typically, a male myth, and then it became wildly popular for females to be the werewolf. And it says something a little bit about the female connection with nature, the Western ideal that females are connected with nature, but it's not in the stereotypical sense where that means we're soft and we're reproductive and we're, all these things that we would associate with quote unquote Mother Nature. We're connected with nature also when it comes to death. Mm-hmm. And then the cycle of the moon and all that stuff, that is kind of a uniquely female thing where once a month, we have that. Yeah. And ties it right into the werewolf thing. So I think in a way it was presented in that article that it was kind of a reclamation of the women are Mother Nature thing, which I thought was kind of cool. But I also think they said there's that, but it's also a condemnation of women, or a remark on the condemnation of women, that we're so emotional, we're so destructive, we
turn into monsters.
Like Run with the Wolves.
What? Oh no, I didn't read it.
Run with the Wolves.
I didn't.
Okay, read it, because this is on topic for that. That's a great book. You'll love it. You'll both love it.
I saw that Emma Watson's book club was reading that, or giving out copies of it recently.
It's so good. Yeah.
Oh, what reminded me was, what was it that Trump said about the woman who was questioning him when he was first...
Oh, Megyn Kelly, she had blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
That is a depiction of what Trump was saying about women.
And that's one of their big arguments for why women are not technically allowed to be on the front lines in combat, is, well, what happens when they're on their period? And then they can't make a decision. Like, these are highly trained soldiers. I'm pretty sure they can still make a decision when they're on their period. But that's one of the big arguments. Well, what happens when they're on their period? Yeah, that they're on their period. I don't know. You just keep living. It's not that big. They've probably dealt with it before.
Yeah. Been dealing with it all their lives, so I think that they can handle it.
Right. By the time you're in the army, I mean, you've probably had your period for at least, 5 years. They're used to it by now.
Yeah. So Amy Schumer had a skit about, when they said Hillary couldn't be president because she's a woman and what happens, basically the same argument. She's on her period. What happens when she's on her period? Yeah. So she played she played woman president on her period. And she's in this board meeting and she's like, oh God, get me a hot water bottle. And she's got her feet up on the table. She's like, oh God, please get me those Thin Mints. And the men it's all white men around her trying to talk about foreign policy and all this shit. And she's like, oh yeah, but could you please, first, I just need somebody to rub my shoulders. And,
oh my God.
Like, really good, fuck you to them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I was like, was that what you really think is going to happen?
Guys just have no clue. They have no idea. I don't get how they get so confused about it or where they get this idea from that women can't do anything.
Serious women are told that too, though. I mean, it's just something we grow up with. We're all told it.
But I mean,
oh my God, you never talk about your period in public because that's gross.
Which is bullshit.
You don't want to hear about your period.
That's the
I'm not saying
dumbest
go around
thing.
And tell everybody that you're on your period.
Yeah.
But I have no problem with saying it to men, even men that I'm not dating. Like, oh, I'm on my period or whatever.
Yeah. That's how you normalize it, though. That's... Right. You just have to, act like it's not a big deal, because it's not a big deal.
Next week, we're going to talk about some home invasion movies, which we have not selected yet. Other stuff... God. Oh, send us your ghost stories. I know you have them. People always tell me they're ghost stories, but somehow they won't send them to my email. So...
And you don't have to give super long explanations. Just
we like some mid-range ones probably. You can so you can send them in text format to qotdpodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us an MP3 file, it's also cool to hear people just tell us their stories that way. So yeah.
And the next episode, our home invasion episode, will be out a week after this one.
So we're starting
following Wednesday, Monday.
Monday. Yep, they're released on Monday. So we're going to be going every Monday then until August.
Yeah, so we got a lot coming. A lot of movies to watch.
I just feel like I always have one, but I have a recommendation for anyone listening because I know that a lot of people love true crime. There's a new miniseries on Netflix called The Keepers. It's about the murder of a nun in Baltimore in the 1960s. She was a teacher at a Catholic school, and she was very young. She was maybe 25. And her murder is still unsolved to this day. And so the documentary, it's an 8 or 9 part series, I think. And it takes place both in the 60s and in the 90s and now. And they think that the nun was murdered because she found something out, which I'm sure you can figure out what it is that she found out. I mean, this is the Catholic Church. The only thing I'll say about it is that they do interview, because this is an all-girls school, an all-girls high school, so they do interview some of these women who were victims, and it's really harrowing. It's very upsetting. I had to turn it off a couple times and come back to it the next day to listen to these women talk, and how it still tears them apart. I mean, 50 years later, and they're still not over it. Mm-hmm. But it's really good. It's very well done. It's a great examination of not only her murder, but the culture in Baltimore built around the Catholic Church that enabled something like this to go on for so long. It's really great.
Wow,
and how much her murder affected, because the two women kind of running the investigation now are former students of hers, and how much she touched their lives and how much her murder affected them, that 50 years later, I mean, they're retired grandmothers now, that they are still dedicating all of their free time to trying to figure out who killed Sister Kathy. It's really well done.
Yeah, and knowing the person who did it is definitely dead now. That's dedication.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that the suspect is dead. They have not talked anything about what the suspect is doing in the present day. I'm only about halfway through. Okay. So great, I don't know how it ends. Okay. But they have not mentioned anything about the suspect in the present day, so I assume that they are deceased.
Wow. I have a recommendation. I just thought, yay for Netflix. Last night I saw this documentary called The Nightmare. It's about sleep paralysis.
Oh, and Jesus, no.
It follows I know. Oh, God. I screamed. I never screamed during something. 8 different people telling their accounts, the things they see when they get an experience, when they get sleep paralysis, and whether or not sleep paralysis should just be defined to its medical definition, or whether being in that liminal state opens people up to seeing things from perhaps different dimensions, or, whatever you'd like to call it. And it comes complete with, reenactments of the things that people are seeing. And it is so fucking terrifying. Yeah. I made Paul sleep downstairs last night. Oh. And they talk about how having sleep paralysis, the more you think about it, the more you have it, and the more you tell people about it, the more those people will have it.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just, it's a mind fuck, and it's a really good documentary, so I recommend that you watch it. It is on Netflix, like I said.
Did you see, there was an article I shared on Facebook about a photographer who has sleep paralysis.
I saw that.
And he takes those pictures of what he sees. Oh my gosh. That's, terrifying. The pictures that he takes, I just can't imagine it. Sleep paralysis is just scary.
Sleep paralysis is scary. The sleep paralysis and anesthesia awareness are 2 of the scariest things in my mind.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So that's my recommendation. Okay, yes. I think we're about ready to wrap up.
Follow us on everything. Because I don't have a list in front of me. We are pretty much everywhere. We have a YouTube for anybody who doesn't have a SoundCloud account or an iTunes or anything like that. We do have YouTube. That's an option, so you can subscribe to us on there. Follow us and leave comments and likes on SoundCloud. Best way to support us is to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. We have not been getting a lot of reviews, so we really appreciate it if you guys took a few minutes just to give us a rating or a review. So yeah, that's probably the best way to support us. We are also on TuneIn Radio.
Okay, sweet dreams. Sweet dreams, everyone.